Hello and welcome to Kent Tonight, live here on KMTV. I'm Finn McDermott and here are your top stories on Wednesday, the 17th of December. Festive fears. Families across Kent struggle to afford Christmas.
Here in Medway, we're definitely noticing a strain with families, the financial impact, not being able to provide us even as many presents as they have done in the past for their children.
Rocking around Leybourne Lakes. RBVE hosts festive charity fun run.
Everybody coming out, meeting up, having chats with people. It's amazing how you do just, you come out your shell a little bit more when you come to these sort of events.
And walking in a winter woodland. Cameron and Alistair head to West Blean and Thorndon Woods in the latest edition of Tiny Treks.
West Blean and Thorndon Woods has been on our Tiny Treks bucket list for some time.
First off, Christmas is meant to be a time of excitement, but for some families it can also be a source of worry. New figures show that 51% of parents and carers in Kent say they can't afford Christmas presents, with more than half going without essential items to make the day special. Maisie Walker has been in Gillingham to see how a toy appeal is helping families provide gifts for their children this Christmas.
Christmas should be a time for excitement, but for many families across Kent, it's a time for worry. New figures show 51% of parents and carers in Kent can't afford Christmas presents, with more than half going without essentials to make the day special.
With me being on maternity leave as well, like being on maternity pay, it's made it very difficult because baby things are not cheap, especially formula for this little man. So it's definitely made it a bit more difficult over the last few months.
It's been quite difficult at the minute. Obviously, everything's more expensive. I've got two teenagers as well, so they do not little lists of any kind.
50% of parents in Kent feel like they've failed their children if they can't provide the gifts they ask for. Family Action is a charity supporting vulnerable children and adults in Kent. Here in Gillingham, its toy appeal is helping to put presents under the Christmas tree so children wake up to smiles instead of empty stockings.
Here in Medway, we're definitely noticing a strain with families, the financial impact, not being able to provide us even as many presents as they have done in the past for their children, and it's really affecting them mentally, and Christmas just isn't the same for them this year. With the toy appeal, we give that option. They can come in and pick a toy that they like. We even have gifts for adults as well. And it just takes that little bit of extra emotional strain, and that's what we're really here for, just to take that emotional toll off the families. So it's just one less thing they have to think about.
With the cost of living, families may still be struggling this Christmas. But events like these help bring back the sparkle where the magic's been missing, putting presents under the tree and brightening the season for children and families. Maisie Walker for KMTV, Gillingham.
And Maisie joins me in the studio now. So first of all, could you tell us a little bit more about the charity?
Yeah, so Family Action was founded in 1869, and they're the country's leading family and relationship support charity. They offer all kinds of support, including practical, emotional and financial help to families all across Kent. They've received funding and support from Medway Council's Family Hub Start for Life programme, which allows them to provide help to families just like we saw there. And Julianne Stokes, a member of Family Action, can tell us a little bit more about the services that they provide in Medway.
We provide support on an ongoing basis. We've built a real community within what we're doing. So we're also offering baby time sessions as well, because we found that the parents really are looking for somewhere to go. So they've been able to come to our baby time sessions, which are drop-ins.
And you mentioned some of the data earlier. Could you go into more detail on that for us?
So the new research, which was commissioned by Family Action, in fact, was data given from across the southeast of England, and it found that 51% of parents and carers say that they can't afford presents for someone this Christmas. Similarly, 50% feel that they've failed their children if they can't provide the gifts that they ask for, and 52% will go without things themselves to try and afford presents. And what's quite interesting here is that more than a quarter of children in Kent, so that's around 28%, are already worried about the cost of Christmas.
I see. We haven't got much time left,
Yeah.
but tell us briefly, what was the atmosphere like?
So even with the difficulties that these parents are facing, the mood was incredibly happy. Everywhere that you looked, you would see smiles, and the hall was quite small being in there, but the layout of the activities made it feel so much more spacious. And there were these beautiful, almost tent-like decorations where the children could rest and parents could take pictures, and there was even a ball pit for the children to play.
I see. Thank you so much for bringing us this story, Maisie. Next, a sudden inspection of HMP Swaleside has left the Chief Inspector of Prisons calling for urgent action, as he says the prison is dangerously unsafe and inhumane. Charlie Taylor said it was the worst performing prison he's seen in 5 years and has issued an urgent notification to the Secretary of State for Justice. The inspection found this year that 6 men were assaulted during their first night in the facility, and it's deemed to have one of the highest violence rates in the entire country. The Chief Inspector shared his assessment with us earlier.
Many staff and particularly prisoners were telling us that they were frightened. Something like a third of prisoners told us that they'd been assaulted, and we were regularly with weapons as well as physical assaults. Drugs were coming into the prison at a very high rate, often being brought in on drones. And we were also seeing some knives being brought in on drones as well. When we got there, prisoners were only getting out of their cells for half an hour a day. So they're locked up for 23 and a half hours a day. And then over the course of the week, that went up to just over an hour. But still, that is an incredibly short period of time for men who are doing very long sentences, who need to do the work in order to get rehabilitated.
Medway's Labour leadership have approved new planning rules to crack down on shared housing in the heart of Chatham and Gillingham. The council's cabinet met last night to discuss the Article 4 direction, which will mean smaller houses of multiple occupancy will have to face extra scrutiny, with hopes it'll improve living conditions in the 5 towns, as our local democracy reporter Ollie Leader has been finding out.
It's the final council cabinet meeting of the year here in Medway, and one designed to tackle concerns around shared housing in the 5 towns. At the moment, houses of multiple occupancy, or HMOs, only require planning permission when 6 or more people live there. But the Article 4 direction put in place at the meeting will mean in certain parts of Chatham or Gillingham, smaller HMOs will also have to undergo more rigorous planning checks.
I think we'll be happier to a certain extent. I think, as I say, it's about the control. There's a lot of unhappy communities out there where these HMOs have become very prevalent, and this is our job. We haven't really got a massive problem about it at the moment, but it's growing, it's developing. This is how we stop that from happening.
It wasn't just housing on the agenda. After Visit and Locate Kent collapsed in September, Medway Council and Kent County Council were in a race against time to save the agencies which help drive tourism and business development in the county.
So we've made sure that we've held on to the staff that we've needed to make sure that those really vital services that Locating Kent and Visit Kent were doing, that we can now do in-house. So it's a good news story for us. Took a little bit of time to get there. I'm not going to go into the details of that. The main thing is that we work together in Medway to work with KCC, and we've finally got the result that we need.
These crucial decisions might have been taken just in time for Christmas, but with a balanced budget due in the new year, the council's work is far from over. Ollie Leader in Medway.
And now hundreds of people dressed up as Santas, elves and reindeer to take part in the Royal British Veterans Enterprises annual Rudolph Run. Taking place at Leybourne Lakes in Larkfield, the event raises money to support veterans across the county, from providing shelter, food and employment. Our community reporter Henry Luck raced down to join them on the fun.
Run Larkfield Run, whilst Santa will be racing to deliver presents. Residents of Larkfield raced across Leybourne Lakes to raise money for the Royal British Veterans Enterprise.
While Santa may have his elves and reindeer, the RBVE has had over 400 people turn up to this year's Rudolph Run to raise money for this vital cause.
It's all just everybody coming out, meeting up, having chats with people. It's amazing how you do just, you come out your shell a little bit more when you come to these sort of events. Everybody's getting up and dancing, and obviously we had our Santa obviously leading the charge as well. So I think it just it just gives you some happy vibes, doesn't it?
It's always good to do a race for a good cause. Often I don't really fundraise because I'm a regular runner and I'd be asking people all the time, but it is nice to do a race and try and raise some money.
It's atmosphere, everyone dressed up, the nice weather and really beautiful location around the lake. It's been really nice.
And lovely sunny weather, and enjoyed crossing the finish line into bubbles of snow.
Correct, yeah, it's amazing, great cause to be behind. We had a great turnout with everyone here today and it's been really great, everyone's had a good time.
It's been a great event. We've really enjoyed ourselves. Mark from Gravesham Community Runners. We've had a good time doing it, and marshalling was great. Thank you very much.
We did have a fantastic time, and the weather was fantastic. It's beautiful here, so yeah, definitely we'll come back here. Yeah.
For the third year running, the computer company Apogee is supporting the charity.
I'm hoping that we can really maximise the fundraising for the organisation. Last year, just over 320 people took part. This year, it's over 400. So hopefully, we'll get some fantastic fundraising results today.
No doubt Santa will be as busy as always this year, but the people of Larkfield are here to give a helping hand to veterans this winter. Henry Luck for KMTV. In Larkfield.
Well, that is it for the first part of our show, but I'll see you in just a few minutes. Hello and welcome back to Kent Tonight, live here on KMTV. Now, from 12 marathons before Christmas to a Sheppey United win, here's Etaly Reynolds with today's Sport Bulletin. Let's have a look at how United managed to get on at the weekend.
First up on tonight's Sport Bulletin, Sheppey United took home a 4-2 victory this weekend against VCD Athletic. Sheppey saw success despite being short on numbers and even had assistant boss Tommy Osborne on the bench. The first half of the match ended with the team up by 2-0. However, VCD started to climb back, scoring a goal, making the score 3-1, then very shortly after they scored a penalty. Despite this setback, Sheppey managed to secure the win by scoring that fourth goal. Osborne said the team have felt they've played better in other matches this season, but is still happy with the win. The team faces Hastings United this Saturday. And keeping with football, Dover chairman Jim Parmenter has gone into more detail about the club's free entry to their penultimate National League South game. Announced at the start of November, the club is looking to give back to the local community, with Parmenter describing it as a Christmas present to the town. He added that there has been great support from the town over the last couple of years and believe the event will be a good way to show the club's appreciation. And finally, today Nathan Hinckley from Maidstone will complete his 5th day of his 12 marathons of Christmas. Raising money for the Young Lives Foundation, the 21-year-old aims to complete 12 marathons before Christmas, with the goal of raising £5,000. He started on the 13th and will complete his challenge on the 24th, whilst making a documentary about the challenge. Hinckley has said mentally he feels prepared, but the physical demands are his main concern. But he has a support team which includes 2 physios who will be with him every step of the way. He has 10 marathons lined up in Maidstone, including 1 treadmill run and another 1-kilometre loop. And his final 2 marathons will be held in London, including one at the Mile End Club, where he has based part of his training. And that's all for tonight's Sports Bulletin.
Well, all the best to Nathan as he continues with his marathons there. Now, also, don't forget you can keep up to date with all the latest stories from all over Kent on our website, which is, of course, kmtv.co.uk. There, you'll find reports like this one, where we took an interesting look at how Medway's local men's group, Medway Men in Sheds, are making a positive difference to the area and the people who go down there to not just talk about their mental health, but also to have fun and try some specific activities while they're doing it. Let's have a look.
Across the UK, thousands of men are finding community in an unexpected place, their local shed. What might look like a simple workshop is actually a lifeline for many, offering friendship, purpose, and a space to learn new skills.
Put 12 blokes in a room and you asked them to talk about their feelings. 6 of them would leave the room immediately, and then the other 6 would try to find corners of the room. But if you put a broken lawnmower in the middle of the room and you asked those 12 guys to fix it, they'd crack on and they'd fix that lawnmower. But at the same time, within an hour, they'd all know each other's names, they'd know about what's going on in their lives, and they'd be sharing information that, they wouldn't do face to face. And that's kind of what happens here sometimes.
88% of regulars feel more part of their community. And almost all say they've now made new friends by coming along.
Getting out, meeting people, building stuff, we just have a lot of fun. I feel like I just come down for a cup of coffee and just chat. That's nice.
I'm not stuck indoors staring at 4 walls, and I'm socialising with people as well and making friends, and I'm gaining knowledge, and I've got a bit of knowledge as well that I can share.
I was introduced to Men in Sheds as I was no longer able to work. It is good for me as it keeps me making things.
It's an open environment where people can come and not be shackled by thinking, oh well, this is a health service thing, this is a DWP thing where I've got to be here.
Across the UK, 1 in 3 men say they don't know where to turn, and half have struggled with poor mental health. Yet only 1 in 4 feel able to talk to friends. Here in Medway, Men's Shed is a place for people to talk, connect and create. And for many of the men who come here, it's not just a hobby space. It's somewhere they can open up, form friendships that they may not form elsewhere, and share skills. And with loneliness and mental health crises continuing to rise across the UK post-COVID, it's sheds like these that are making a difference. Naila Mohammed for KMTV.
Great report from Naila there. Now, next, plans to transform an abandoned supermarket in Hythe have now been disposed of by the council after delays. Let's have a look. The former Aldi, which has been shut since 2019, initially had designs drawn up in July of 2022. Now, what they did is they proposed to turn the site into 35 apartments and 5 commercial units. Folkestone and Hythe District Council have now disposed of the plans after the applicant failed to respond to a request for vital updates in October. The site has now been left with no current planning applications, and a nearby business owner says it's a terrible shame for the community. Now it's time to take a look at the weather for the coming days as we inch ever closer to Christmas. Let's have a look. Tonight is looking very windy with some rain expected across the county, 10 degrees across the board. Then into tomorrow morning, more rain, wind speeds dropping slightly, temperatures rising to 11 degrees. You can see a lot of rain there across the county. And into the afternoon, even more heavy rain, winds picking back up to 20 miles per hour, temperatures around 11 and 12. Now for your outlook, Friday should bring sunny skies, highs of 11. Saturday, partly cloudy weather, highs dropping to 10 over the weekend. And by Sunday, that sunshine will have disappeared. Now, some parents were outraged when their children were subjected to a paintball attack. 4 young boys, aged between 7 and 12, hid behind a bus stop, all in fear, after a black SUV pulled up next to them with people inside unloading paintballs towards them. The mother of one of the victims says her son now has trouble sleeping, and she's in disbelief that someone could shoot at children. Another mother said the situation was worsened by the lack of internet connection in the area, with her son being unable to phone her during the attack, despite new phone towers being installed. Next, the abandoned former Pound World Plus site in Canterbury is set to be revived by a health and beauty chain. The empty store has been subject to frequent vandalism and graffiti, but the 500 store-based UK company Savers is expected to take on that location while also creating dozens of jobs. Now, after more than 7 years of being abandoned opposite a Grade 2 listed building, work will begin next year as applications have been made to Canterbury City Council. The store is yet to confirm an opening date, but the property developer has said it makes an exciting milestone for customers in Canterbury. Well, hopefully anyone living down there in Canterbury could expect to see a new shop on their high street. Next, Lion lookout pods have been approved for construction at Port Limp Hotel and Reserve near Hythe. Work on these 12 pods are part of the site's plans to offer an overnight experience alongside the hotel's existing Lion Lodge. The new accommodation will be on raised platforms and is planned to offer an uninterrupted view of the lions. The managing director of the site, Tony Kelly, says he's very pleased they've been granted permission and hopes to start the project in late 2026. I'm not sure how I would feel if I woke up in the morning and saw a lion staring at me, but it does sound very interesting. Well, even more interesting, it's 8 days to go until Christmas, and if you're anything like me, you might still be buying a few presents before it's a big day. But just how last minute is too last minute? Personally, I still have quite a few Christmas gifts left to buy. I'm not going to give any indication because my family and my friends do watch this programme, so I'm not giving you anything there. Personally, I don't try and leave it that late. I always try and have a strong deadline by the 20th, but the way that my schedule's looking, I don't know if I'll have the time. So I might have to be shopping online a bit more and just seeing where I can squeeze those gifts in. But I'm not the only one. We went down to Rochester to ask residents how close they've come to Christmas Day when they've been buying a gift. Let's find out.
What is the latest time you've bought someone a Christmas present?
Probably the 23rd when I'm out doing like Christmas food shopping.
Christmas Eve, about 9 o'clock. Total panic, Joel.
I never buy Christmas presents, never have. Saved myself a fortune over the years, but there you are.
Very late on Christmas Eve, probably just as the shops are closing. I've done it a few times, but this year all in. I've got all in, so 24th of December, I will just chill out, taking it easy.
For me personally, usually about a week before, because I always used to work in retail, so I used to have to be really organised. Now, probably just a few days, I would say.
Stuff to go.
We've still got stuff to go. We're a little bit late this year, but normally we're quite early because we buy throughout the year.
The latest time I bought someone a present before Christmas was Christmas Eve.
I have to say the same, yeah. Last time was Christmas Eve as well. And probably will be this year as well.
Well, it is time for a short break, but not for me. I've still got a lot of Christmas gifts left to buy, and I'm sure the same is true, not just in Rochester, but across the county. So wherever you are, I feel your pain. But coming up after this short break, we'll take a look back at our top story, which looks at new data showing that 51% of parents and carers in Kent say they can't afford Christmas presents. We'll also hear from Folkestone and Hyde's MP Tony Vaughan as he asked in PMQs if AI can combat employment rates. All that and more after this short break. See you in just a few minutes. Hello and welcome to Kent Tonight, live here on KMTV. I'm Finn McDermott and here are your top stories on Wednesday, the 17th of December. Festive fears. Families across Kent struggle to afford Christmas. Rocking around Leybourne Lakes, Royal British Veterans Enterprise hosts festive charity fun run. And walking in a winter woodland. Cameron and Alistair head to Westbleen and Thorndon Woods in the latest edition of Tiny Treks. But a look back at our top story this evening. Christmas is meant to be a time of excitement, but for some families it can also be a source of worry. New figures show that 51% of parents and carers in Kent say they can't afford Christmas presents, with more than half going without essential items that make the day special. Maisie Walker has been in Gillingham to see how a toy appeal is helping families provide gifts for their children this Christmas.
Christmas should be a time for excitement, but for many families across Kent, it's a time for worry. New figures show 51% of parents and carers in Kent can't afford Christmas presents, with more than half going without essentials to make the day special.
With me being on maternity leave as well, like being on maternity pay, it's made it very difficult because baby things are not cheap, especially formula for this little man. So it's yeah, definitely made it a bit more difficult over the last few months.
It's been quite difficult at the minute. Obviously, everything's more expensive. I've got 2 teenagers as well, so they do not little lists of any kind.
50% of parents in Kent feel like they've failed their children if they can't provide the gifts they ask for. Family Action is a charity supporting vulnerable children and adults in Kent. Here in Gillingham, its toy appeal is helping to put presents under the Christmas tree so children wake up to smiles instead of empty stockings.
Here in Medway, we're definitely noticing a strain with families, the financial impact, not being able to provide us even as many presents as they have done in the past for their children, and it's really affecting them mentally, and Christmas just isn't the same for them this year. With the toy appeal, we give that option. They can come in and pick a toy that they like. We even have gifts for adults as well. And it just takes that little bit of extra emotional strain, and that's what we're really here for, just to take that emotional toll off the families. So it's just one less thing they have to think about.
With the cost of living, families may still be struggling this Christmas. But events like these help bring back the sparkle where the magic's been missing, putting presents under the tree and brightening the season for children and families. Maisie Walker for KMTV, Gillingham.
And Maisie joins me in the studio now. So first of all, could you tell us a little bit more about the charity?
Yeah, so Family Action was founded in 1869 and they are actually the country's leading family and relationship support charity. They offer a range of services, but mainly practical, emotional and financial help to families all across Kent. And they've received funding and support from Medway Council's Family Hub Start for Life programme, which allows them to provide help to families just like we saw there. And I actually spoke to Julianne Stokes, a member of Family Action, who can tell us a little bit more about these services that they provide.
We provide support on an ongoing basis. We've built a real community within what we're doing, so we're also offering baby time sessions as well, because we've found that the parents really are looking for somewhere to go, so they've been able to come to our baby time sessions, which are drop-ins.
Now, in that video report, you touched on some of the numbers there, but could you go more in detail about this data and what it means for families, not just here in Kent, but across the country?
Yeah, so the new research, which was actually commissioned by Family Action, is data mainly from across the southeast of England, but some of these are quite shocking. You know, 51% of parents and carers say that they cannot afford presents for someone this Christmas. And similarly to that, 50% feel like they've failed their children if they can't provide the gifts that they've asked for. 52% will go on to will go without things to try and afford these presents. More than a quarter of children, interestingly, which is 28% across the southeast, are already worried about the cost of Christmas. And of course, 54% of parents say that the season feels less magical because of this financial pressure.
That is a real shame. To hear that. Tell us, while you were down there at the appeal, what was the atmosphere like?
Well, even with the difficulties that these parents, are experiencing, the mood was incredibly happy. It was as if the little ones had been given some kind of brief. Everywhere you looked, there was a smile. Even at me, and usually the reaction with kids with me is, what's Hagrid doing here? So the hall was very small as well. But, the layout of the activities made it feel much more spacious. There was even, in fact, these beautiful, almost tent-like decorations where children could rest, parents could take photos, and there was even a ball pit.
I see. And just before we go, did you talk to anyone to get any more additional advice maybe for parents this sort of time of year?
Yeah, no, so a lot of the advice can be found on obviously Family Action's website, but speaking to the parents themselves, a lot of them were very concerned about Christmas and the financial pressures. I spoke to one particular mother who said that she was even sacrificing some of the items that she needed, these essential items, in order to make sure that her teenagers and her little one could actually have a Christmas present this year. I see. Well, thank you so much for your time on this, Maisie. I'm sure this is something in the minds of parents and carers, not just here in Kent, but across the country. Thanks for your time. Now to Prime Minister's questions, where Folkestone and Hythes MP Tony Vaughan raised an important question about AI and its potential interference in employment rates. We can hear what he had to say in the Commons now. Let's have a look.
I thank the Minister for her answer. Research commissioned by DCIT estimates that by 2035, approximately 10 million UK workers will be in jobs where AI will be part of their responsibilities. PwC estimates that 18% of existing UK jobs face a high probability of automation by 2035. So what steps is the government taking to ensure that young people in my constituency are well prepared for AI being integrated into their daily working lives so we can minimise those chances of unemployment in the future?
I think the Honourable Gentleman has hit on one of the biggest challenges and opportunities we face as a country, which is how AI is going to transform how we live, earn and learn. So we must prepare not only our young people, but the entire workforce for the changes AI inevitably brings. That's why, alongside the changes I've already outlined for young people, we will upskill 7.5 million workers in AI skills over the course of the next 5 years. So people in every part of our country and all walks of life can shape their own future, not just be shaped by it.
Now it's time to take a look at the weather for the coming days. Tonight, it's looking very windy with some rain expected across the county, 10 degrees across the board. Into tomorrow morning, more rain, wind speeds dropping slightly, temperatures rising to 11 degrees. And into the afternoon now, even more heavy rain with winds picking back up to 20 miles per hour, temperatures staying around 11 and 12. Now for your outlook, Friday should bring sunny skies and highs of 11. Saturday's partly cloudy with highs dropping to 10. Sunday, that sunshine will disappear. Now, men's mental health is a subject being spoken about more and more, but for men of a certain age here in Kent and across the country, it can still be a difficult topic. Minster FC have a men's football group where the members are encouraged to talk as much as they are to tackle. I filmed a documentary about them which you can watch right after the show, but for now, here's a sneak peek of what to expect.
Goes too small. Oh, go on then, if you want me to show it. Oh! H! John turn, pass the mark, follow the ball, leave the ball there. Oh, this is... Pass the ball in. Mark turn.
So my first memory of playing football, I would have been first year junior, which would be what, year 3 now? We had a 12-goal head start and we lost 13-12, and I remember crying my eyes out at the end of it.
Mark Birkin is 52 and sport has always been a part of his life, not just football but rugby and cricket as well. After school he played for a Saturday team, whether it was as a right back or a left winger, he just enjoyed the sport. And then he went on to start a career in the legal industry.
Just ended up feeling like I didn't care about anything anymore. sort of self-loathing, hatred of yourself. Sort of took an overdose back in June. Just needed something.
Mark's partner found Project Talking Football that played on Minster FC's training pitch.
You're not alone. There's always someone here for you.
As you can see, we've got all different age groups of people. Some guys are as old as my dad, some are as young as my little brothers.
Definitely come down, give it a go, see how you feel. You don't have to say anything if you don't want to, but it helps to be around people.
A lot of men tend to bottle up their emotions. They work full days, and when they come home, they're around their family. And for a lot of men, even with their family, they can find it hard to open up and be vulnerable. But as modern views change, this is becoming less and less of the norm, which is a good thing. More men are feeling they're able to speak about their emotions, and we can recognise that it is a problem. But it's not always as easy as simply doing it.
I want to see myself as getting back to a position where I can enjoy life as much as I used to.
You can watch the full documentary on our website, kmtv.co.uk, by just going on the documentaries tab. Now it is time for a break. Coming up, we'll get a sneak peek of Tiny Treks, a new series following our very own Cameron and his son Alistair as he ventures around the Garden of England to find the best baby-friendly walks. And of course, the weather forecast as we're getting closer and closer to Christmas. We'll have all that and more after this short break. See you in just a few minutes. Hello and welcome back to Kent Tonight, live here on KMTV. Now, before we take a look at the latest episode of Tiny Treks, don't forget you can keep up to date with all the news by visiting our website kmtv.co.uk, and then you can find all our reports, including this one.
The new old bakehouse in Broadstairs serves something more than coffee and pastries. Every week, the cafe hosts Bonkers Wednesday, where customers can come down to make music and some new friends.
As well as coffee, this cafe is also known for producing a lot of friendship and music.
I've been here for 2 years, and I started off the Bonkers Wednesday as a little bit for the community and to bring a little bit of joy, because there's a lot of doom and gloom in this world.
These sessions aim to help elderly visitors overcome feelings of isolation which can often come up later in life.
They brought a lot of joy to my life. I came here on my own. I didn't know anyone, and there's seven or eight of us. We're really happy and friendly. We meet up every morning at 8 o'clock, and we just have fun.
My wife died 2 years ago, so I was feeling down, and this has livened up my life. I come here, as I say, every morning. We all know each other, we all muck in together, and we just have a lovely time and a laugh.
I must say it's a pleasure being down here. We've got a good team down here, and Maria goes beyond and whatever it is, above and beyond to please everybody. And I love her to bits, and I love them all. Oh, don't I cry!
With winter already upon us, this group is determined to make sure the beat goes on. Henry Luck for KMTV in Broadstairs.
And before we go, we have a brand new episode of Tiny Treks. This series sees our very own Cameron Tucker and his young son Alistair journey around the county to find the best baby-friendly walks. In this special festive edition, they've headed just outside Canterbury on the hunt for the world-famous Blean bison herd.
West Blean and Thorndon Woods has been on our Tiny Treks bucket list for some time, and that is for one reason alone. It's home to a vast nature reserve, including the UK's first wild bison herd, introduced after 6,000 years back in 2022. Despite being Europe's largest land animals, weighing in at 300 to 920 kilos, they are incredibly elusive.
Eddie, lovely to meet you. How's it going?
We're hoping our guide Eddie will be able to help us spot some of the diverse wildlife that call these woods home.
Eddie, we're so excited to be here. We've spoken about doing this walk for ages and know a little bit about the project. But how did bison, long extinct in the UK, in the wild, how did they come back to be in this part of Kent?
Well, the Wilder Blean project was started a few years back to try and bring natural processes back to the woodland.
You'll have a question in a sec. Yeah. I promise you can ask questions.
So the bison are there. We describe them as eco-engineers. So they're brought into the woodland to carry out their bison work and to do a lot of clearing of the trees. But they also debark to give more detail. But what they do is they kick down trees, they break down shrubs, and they create space, and they create a more dynamic environment. And this leads to improvement in our woodland's health.
What is it about the species that really, make you think they're such an awesome animal?
Oh, well, I mean, the old ranger here who trained me, he always described them as a Swiss Army knife because what it is that they have so many different behaviours and so many different ways that they interact with the woodland that are beneficial to it. So I spoke earlier about clearing trees. They will pull trees down. They'll use their big strong neck to pull trees down so they can get to the fresh growth at the top. Yeah. So this is effectively like coppicing, which is the human practice of just cutting trees down in the woods. So they snap them down, they create sunlight, and then that sunlight allows the herb layer and other flowers and smaller plants to grow. and then the knock-on effect is that's beneficial for our invertebrates, and then, you know, that's food for the birds, and so on and so on. But, you know, they take trees down, they debark trees, which creates standing deadwood, also good for inverts, and good for our decay fungi, and create interesting trees that have cavities for bats, you know, so they have lots of different behaviours that are beneficial for the woods. As well as bison on this site, you may have a chance, depending on the time of year, of seeing ponies, cattle, and we also have our Iron Age pigs on site as well.
And so we head off along the Wild Art Trail to see what woodland wildlife we might stumble across. While some areas are closed off for the bison, pigs and other animals, there are footpaths open to the public. Many are pram-friendly, but slings might be easier after wet weather. So Eddie, we stopped here because this is a pretty good spot to tell us a little bit about how we're not going to, you know, bump into a bison on our walk. Tell us a little bit about where we are.
So this right here is what we call the compartment. So this compartment is called Smallwood, and what it is it's about probably about 25-30 hectares, and inside we've got a mixture of woodland, and then the first layer of fencing is the electric fence, and that's to keep the bison in. And then this outer layer is what we call the outer fence, or the people fence. So this is technically for keeping people out of the bison. If you're lucky enough and you come down this trail and you manage to see the bison inside here, come up to the fence line and get as close as you can, have a nice look, see if you can spot them. They won't be there for long, you know, they'll be browsing their way through the trees or like grazing around the edge of the fence line, and you only get a few minutes until they melt back into the tree line. So yeah, they won't run from people. They're used to people being out and about. The ponies, on the other hand, you could bump into the ponies around here, but you just keep a safe distance. We've got lots of information and safety information at all the entrances, so you'll be absolutely fine, yeah, wandering around with your kids, yeah.
Fab. Well, I think that was a good break for all of us. Should we crack on then?
Yeah.
After you.
And just as Eddie said a few moments before, look who we come across.
So we've come across the herd of fell ponies, all looking pretty comfortable, completely nonplussed about us being here.
Yeah, they're used to people wandering around the woods. So these ponies are here to graze the woods and browse the trees in the woods, just doing their own bit of woodland management. Yeah, they're very used to people. We only say that you keep 2 animal lengths away from the animals when you're here, but yeah, they're very used to people. Yeah, as you can see, not reacting to us being here at all.
And tell us a little bit about the herd, you know, what makes them stand out, especially this lovely mare here.
Yeah, so this beautiful mare here, she's in charge, so and she is...
she looks like she's keeping them in check.
Yeah, she's a fell pony, probably a mixed breed, which is why she's a bit bigger. But yeah, she's in charge. She keeps an eye on these 4 younger males here, so keeping, as you can see, literally keeping an eye on them right now. But yeah, she's in charge, keeps them in check, and yeah, and they're just here doing their good work, managing our woodlands for her. She was brought here as an individual. She believed she was like a pet or for riding, both. So she's very comfortable around people. She can be moved around with absolute ease, and it's great because they all follow her. So if she needs, if her time's up for the ponies on site, you know, our contractor will come in and all you have to do is take her onto the truck and walk her on, and then we've got to follow her on. So it's very convenient for us. Yeah, and usually the animals they could be old pets. That they do come from the meat market. We would just go to the market and pick up some animals there that are no longer viable, but they're still viable for us. All they've got to do is have, like I said, eat some food and be calm around people, and that's all they need to be. So you can.
Well, Ali's loving it. He's just had a couple of. He's got snacks and a show at the moment. Yeah. He's very, very pleased.
Yeah, really lucky to have bumped into them because they move all the way around site, grazing all of the trail edges and our fence line edges. So yeah, we're nice and lucky to bump into them.
As our tiny trek approaches the end, I'm curious to know what the future of the project will look like, and indeed how its success will be secured.
So we're just at the end. Good bit, a bit of fresh air for Ali here. He's absolutely knocked out. You know, we've come with Ali, and with all these walks are for young families and young kids. And I imagine when you're taking school groups out and your other rangers are doing that and taking young people out, education's really key as well. It is about being out in nature, but it's also about going home with some really important messaging as well.
Yeah, well, I think some of the most important messaging is that nature is for everyone and for all ages. We have a forest school that comes out here and they learn how to, you know, have fun out here, you know, build a fire from scratch, you know, even with the little flint lighter, and they have a great time. And you'll find that a lot of the kids that are from the classroom that maybe particularly don't do super well or they can't focus as much, maybe they're the top students out in the woods, you know. It's a completely different skill set, and I think it really just broadens minds, you know. It's very important.
Well, it's been a lovely walk. It's been really educational. He's having a nap. I'll probably have a little nap.